This is a topic of what is the fastest way to level in Mr. Pandaria? Patch 1 from 85 to 90. Some of you might be saying Monkey Island. No, technically not the fastest. Is good. Some of you might be saying, oh, the turtles on a lake. No. Grimbitzol, Tolvir, Firelands, Bastion, Monkey Runs. Anything in Cataclysm was nerfed in the original beta, and then re-implemented into this beta, as they undid it at some point because it became arbitrary. Monkey Runs are good. If you are an efficient group, you are completing the first boss, and you're queuing into a new run within 2 minutes' time. Here's a metric of super efficiency you have to beat. 11 hours is questing, if done to perfection and optimization. And this video is a focal point on what is the absolute fastest. And this is taking a little bit away from the history of the first level 90. So this is effectively going to take a page from that book and re-implement it for the modern era. To pull this off, it's going to be kind of like late-stage capitalism. All these moving parts, and only you get the benefit. Spoiler, this whole thing is absolutely degenerate, and I don't expect anyone really to go about their experience with this expansion implementing this at any point. But this is the craft, right? I'm going to assume that you are super capping your hit rating and expertise if applicable, as it'll aid immensely in killing level 90 mobs. If you want to be super sweaty, you can have like a slightly downgraded soft cap variant of these when you hit 88. So how does this all start? Where do you go? Well, what happens? I'm going to assume that you're a horde. This works just as well if you're Alliance, but this is from a horde perspective. And let's say that the only pre-questing that you do is the Tolbarite quest. You're online when the clock turns over. You refresh your bullshit or whatever to make it show you the XP bar, or however the that actually works. I still don't even know. You immediately turn your Tolbarite quest, you take your port into Orgrimmar, you get your quest to go into the Mr. Pandaria expansion by flying up to the Zeppelin, and you land there and mop, and you're stun locked on this boat, and this is where it all starts. You're going to need a handful of people with you. In one group, you're going to want people that do non-offensive tagging and can help you DPS at a point, like the mobs are below 50%. In the other group, you're going to need offensive dispellers, meaning priest, shaman. I would say warrior with shield slam glyph, but I don't think it's off cooldown enough to be meritable in this degree. But dice it if you want to. And a warlock in both groups. Maybe even have a third group for whatever reason, just because. Why not? We're going full-blown degeneracy. Alright, boss, we're in Pandaria. What the hell do we do? The moment you are able to move out of the stun on the boat, you are going south. Maybe you TBC rocket boots off it. Maybe you wait till you get to the hill that there's a river between you and the Valley of Four Winds, and you do a little parachute, TBC boots, boom. You're now in Valley of the Four Winds. This is where you, Team A and Team B, will split up. You as Team A are going to go in front of Storm Stout Brewery. This doesn't involve Storm Stout Brewery at all. You're going to find some guy named Hoof some shit. This name doesn't matter. What he drops does. And you're going to aim to get the battle horn from him. And here you can dick around for a bit just killing random shit. Turtles by the lake to your west, Mantid a little further than that. You can go to the island to the south for a spill if you want to. Just do something in the meantime. Hell, go Monkey Run if you want to. Alternative option. You can have 5 other people incorporated into your gambit to queue into Storm Stout Brewery when MOP releases, to then die in the dungeon, take a spirit res, go to the summon stone, and then summon everybody involved in this op at this location. Credit to Moon and Company, I am never not impressed with this community. Team B, when you divided, you go to the north, through the Veiled Stair, up through Kunlai, into Talong Steps. You're going to reach a bog. There are going to be these mobs called Osul Mist Shaman. When you bring them down to 50% health, they will project a buff on themselves. When you kill them within 30 seconds of that point, they will broadcast that buff to 5 targets within 15 yards of it. This buff, when stacked 5 times, increases damage by 100% and does a mild heal over time effect every 3 seconds. The duration of this buff is 30 seconds. It is re-upped every time it is splashed. Your non-offensive dispellers, one of them will get hit by this buff. They will make a macro to duel each other and accept, and they will dispel magic or purge, an offensive purge, to get the buff off the person and project it onto everyone else around. Person A will lose buff, person B will get buff. As Group B went to this location, Group C should have deviated to the west, reaching the coast of this bug island. When you summon the people who are perpetuating the buff, they will wait till they both get the summon. They will accept the summon in unison, reinitiate the duel, and continuously purge until you are done, staying at or moving to locations that are convenient. It is at this point you who will summon the person that will be getting the benefit of all of this XP to come. Once there, you will continuously been spelling each other all this time anyway. This will cause the person who's benefiting from this whole experience to get this buff, increasing their damage by 100%, along with anyone else around, and now you go to town on the island. If you have the horn, cool. If it didn't drop, that's fine. There are 4 mob types here, one being elite, one that splash heals itself and allied, and the other 2 are DPS. There might be a 5th type, but just nuke down the healing one. All the mobs here give full XP. Each one respawns after being dead for 2 minutes. There are well over 300 mobs on this island. Granted that the island is pretty sizable, and it being off the side of no man's land, it's ideal multiplied. There are other alternative options, but they have caveats. Some mobs give 70% base value XP. They do have benefits where they don't have healer types. This island is probably as good as it's going to get. You're going to farm these mobs until you hit level 90. Everyone who is with you will be ungrouped, non-offensively tagging things to your location, and you will get into a rhythm of killing things. You will place down a banner and aim to kill mobs while you're within this 200-yard radius of XP buff from the banner. If you kill things while outside of it, big whoop, you lose 15% for those kills, but they fixed it from despawning so it should stay there even if you leave its perimeter. Because you are doing 100% extra damage, it's equivalent to the mobs having half of their health. In comparison, killing a level 87 without the buff is equal to killing level 90s with the buff. And as long as you do 40% of their health and damage, anyone who is paired with you can contribute to killing the mobs, and you should receive full XP credit. As the buff splashes for up to 5 targets, so really 4, one not being the Dispeller, they can also contribute significant damage, so long as you get the tag. With everything at your disposal, the buff, corralling, the assisting damage after you deal the crediting amount, 40%, all in all, the math is mathing, and at 25 mobs a minute, that is a little over 3 hours from 85 to 90. The only limiting factors are what your team is able to corral and your location to anchor, or if you even choose to anchor. Unexplored territory, you might have to shuffle away from the location where you anchored your banner if you've killed everything and it has not respawned yet momentarily. But you are very likely well exceeding this metric if you are achieving that. Edit here. This, of course, is hypothetical theory crafting. There may be something even better than this somewhere, in some way. I'm just gonna ramble about stuff I found interesting. A little bit of history into this. I couldn't find any information on the exact mobs that the world first level 90 got to farm in order to get the cap. There was only speculation on what he did, but I did find evidence of what it could have been. In Townlong Steps, Middle North, there is this RP montage of manted fighting bull people. And there are some stationary bull people that I assume are related to some daily quest at Cap. All of those mobs give next to no XP when killed, and are some range and some heal, and they're a pain in the ass to deal with. And I wholeheartedly believe that a Balance Druid maxed out with 160% damage, because it was at 8 stacks back then, with a couple people tagging, could absolutely body this hillside and the RP mobs at the bottom, and get to Cap within 5 hours, maintaining the buff that is in Townlong. I see no other reason why they wouldn't give XP. So in my mind, mystery solved. You might be asking, what if I want to use this buff for something else entirely? My experience is that it only works in Dread Waste and Townlong Steps. I've tried hearthing with it to every other location. The hearths in these 2 zones worked. The hearths in every other zone didn't. I did not try summoning it anywhere, so I assume that it will not follow, under the line of thinking that entering zone equals buff check equals clear buff. If that is not the case, neat. I am of the assumption that this is deadlocked to both Townlong Steps and Dread Waste. And that is everything pertaining to the clickbait of this video for what is the fastest method. You can shuffle elements about it to be more efficient to IDK. I'll be mentioning more reasonable farms later on in the video, involving mob farms and dungeons. You could argue, is Blizzard going to punish people or remove the buff now that it's been brought to light? For some reason, they never wanted to remove the buff even when it was used the first time. They nerfed the stack count from 8 to 5 and just left it in. On that front, it doesn't seem like they want to remove it. And if they were to punish people for using it, that's just bait, as there are clear limitations on it. I mean, take for example of somebody not having a purge, or anyone to bounce it between if they did. You'd have to pull a ton of mobs and meticulously time a death of one mob to cause the splash to go on the rest, every 25 seconds, killing something, while moving it to wherever you want to use it. It is a painstaking and arduous journey to get that anywhere solo. And if you ever kill a mob with the buff, when there are no other mobs to spread it to, the buff rots on you and has nowhere else to go. And if you want to get it again, you have to make the trip back to the bog to start from square one. It's like a cruel joke, unless you have a set of absolute bros who are able to keep the juggle going. Okay, I'm going to list a couple mob farms that are alternatives to this, because this is insanity and I don't expect anyone to attempt it. Like, you're on par with the Scarab Lord sycophants to even tackle that. Now, on to stuff that's a little bit more reasonable. just to touch on some farms that were known to be good, since this topic is around leveling with efficiency. Starting from 85 onward, Jade Forest has deer that spawn along the pathways around the Jade Statue area. They despawn if you go into the Jade Statue phasing area, but they are there if you're not in it. They're solid, but they're strewn about. Going into level 86 stuff, there's the turtles at the lake off to the side of Stormstout Brewery. And now for the spot that has somebody there every time I log into the beta that everyone thinks is a secret and wants to be hush-hush about. Monkee Island. It is a great spot for 2 people to share. There is a fundamental flaw when it comes to Monkee Island. Let's say you're the person being boosted, you're a tank, you have massive AoE if you're a different class, whatever. You have buddies pull the entire island to your location. So you get 80 monkeys. It takes them about under a minute, maybe half a minute, if they're super good, to get all these mobs to your location, avoiding the slow somehow, and you kill them all in one wave. You, at that moment, set them all on a 2-minute respawn. Yes, you killed 80 monkeys in a moment of massive AoE, but you are now waiting, sitting on your hands, for 2 minutes with nothing to kill. And they do it again. They round them up when they respawn, and they get to your location, and you kill them all. Wow. And let's say you get it down to 3 minutes per cycle. That is 26, close to 27 monkeys a minute. And that is good. But the likelihood of you ever being non-contested is extremely slim, even in layering situations. That's why I say this island is only good if it's inhabited by 2 people and no more, and they're taking their kills in their own solo mentality. If you have 2 people splitting the island left and right, and they're killing a third of their side every minute, ends up being roughly 13 mobs a minute. Attempting it solo for the entire island would be a massive pain, as they apply a slow to you every time you enter combat with one of them. So you're crawling from one side to the other, this 400-yard island, at 3 yards a second. Monkee Island is decent. I'm not going to knock it, but realistically, in a solo sense, you can only keep up on things on one side. Say we're going into the realm of cheating stupidity. You got something akin to Martin's Fury. You can kill everything that you render around you. Bam, you kill all 80 monkeys. You're waiting for 2 minutes. Bam, you kill all 80 monkeys. That equates to 40 monkeys a minute. You'll never achieve this in any sense. Doing the solo tech, somebody sacking their time to get things to you, maybe 26. Idealistic world, amazing. But somebody already knows, even if I didn't mention it, as this place was heavily farmed for Windwool back in Mob. Because it was so trafficked, they removed all of the loot table on these guys, so they didn't. It's just gold and XP. But because the mobs are level 87, it loses its vigor for your XP the moment you hit 88, which is where you are encouraged to go to the Treadwaste and kill things of level in mass, as it would produce far greater gains than staying here, even with the ease of access to 13 mobs a minute on one side of the island. Granted, it is extremely convenient. This is Mop's answer to Verloc's stand in Deep Home, but with snares. You could argue, oh, but their health is lower. You're going to deal with level 89 or 90 mobs. And that isn't an incorrect take. It's just there are other murder piles and other places that would just be better at that point. Just have fun until somebody ooks the party. 87, there's a camp of Yangle that you can cycle pretty well. 88, there is a pack of Yangle at the beginning of Town Long. They do a knock-up, but they're easy to kill. Avoid the ones on the opposite side because they just suck. And there's a pack of, I want to say, 12 elite Mogu up in this area that you can cycle and get 3 times mob XP for killing. But they're on a 200-second respawn timer. If you can keep with that pace and not overshoot it, it might be solid. And 89 is basically anything in Dreadways. If there's a lot and you go there, it's generally good. There might be some outliers. Some mobs might not be on a 2-minute respawn timer. Hyperspawning might be a factor in some cases outside the 2-minute respawn. Fun detected at Monkey Dome. They've inflated their health pool, but they give the same XP as the regular mobs, so they're not worth. That's essentially all I got. Now, if we're talking from something of the aspect of farming dungeons, if you're just random queuing into dungeons to do them, that's not really good. If you are tackling them in a very intelligent way, they can be super good. Previously, in another video when I stated that dungeon farming sucks, that is under the assumption you are doing LFD with random people to full clear dungeons. They're actually really good if you are super efficient with how you go about them, and you cut off a majority of the dungeon to re-queue again, abusing the queue system to do so. But before I get into that, I'm just going to go into some solo farms that are pretty good. Initially, Jade Serpent Temple. 2/3 of this dungeon is basically a waste of time, but the left side, up to Wise Mari and killing him, is really good XP if you can do it in 6 minutes. The elementals give 4 times XP, the mobs as they spawn give regular mob XP, the boss gives 30 mobs worth of XP. 33 if you're 85. And that's all you aim to do, whether you're vengeance stacking or you're just a Zug DPS who can sustain in some manner. Everything else gives very poor, half the amount. Elite mobs give regular mob XP, or NPCs are reducing it down to less than a mob's worth of XP. Like, the rest of the temple is dog. Just fast clear Mari until lockout. Monkey Run Solo can be good, but it's RNG on barrels hitting and how fast you get to those monkeys. The other dungeons either have RP or I just don't know, and I apologize. But that leads me into the super efficient dungeon groups. If you can comprise a 5-man group that is super efficient to do Storm Stout Brewery, to kill a ton of monkeys, stun them when they're running away, kill the rest, and defeat Ook Ook, and then Dungeon Finder to re-queue the dungeon, bypassing the Dungeon Deserter debuff. And you can do that from start to finish into another run in 2 minutes. That blows every other option out of the water early game. If you can get Temple down to 5 minutes, maybe it can test. But 5 people benefiting, throwing banners, churning out monkey meat every 2 minutes is very good XP a minute. If you have friends and they are good at this game, and you don't mind a 4-hour grind to 88, this might be for you. I want to poke fun at Blizzard a little bit. In original MoP, they applied a raid penalty to anything that wasn't in Pandaria, briefly not having it on this beta. Additionally, cherry-picking elites and bosses in dungeons, nerfing the gains they should normally give, in some bizarre fixation to make questing the optimal route. And after turning the penalty back on, they acted as if they were championing hate towards dungeon enjoyers. I find it very impressive that all odds stacked against, that there are dungeon farms that blow questing out of the water simply by ignoring the majority of the content put in a dungeon. Yo, how does this frosting smell? I'll interpret the W's where I can, damn it. Fun Detector's got us beat by a mile. Questing! So if you do questing optimally, and you deal with Lore Walker Cho or Chen Storm Stout, keeping you held hostage for 5-10 minutes at a time, as they mandatorily gate things that you need to go through, but you avoid every other trap like the uninstanced Jade Serpent Temple and the Temple of the White Tiger. You do Kunlai till like halfway through 88 because Townlong Step sucks as a questing hub, and if you go there immediately, you won't hit 89 if you start at 88 there. And you just get the speed buff in the Dreadwaste augmentation, you get their murder bug enhancement that helps you cleave all the stuff down. You do it all perfectly without falling for a single trap, killing things along the way in between A and B. And it doesn't matter if you favor Kurasang or Valley of the Four Winds at 86. Either is pretty much similar. The total time near perfection is under 12 hours, closer to 11, maybe under 11. It's really up to preference if you want it to go fast or not, as there is content for you to enjoy if you so choose to. That will just take a little bit more time, and it could be anywhere in that range between 14 to 20 hours. If you fully complete a zone going into another zone, it's not optimal, but that is something you can do, and it would make it be around 20 hours. I'm not knocking questing. I do enjoy it, until I get the sense of deja vu on the third tune, which is why I am such an advocate for other outlets. Anyway, I could ramble on about more trivial bullshit, but that pretty much chalks it up. But I keep forgetting to put this in. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm not a robot. I need the gains. Do it. Thank you for watching. Shout out to my Patreons. Links to things and stuff I use. Links to the Twitch and the Patreon. And I will see you again soon. TM.